Yo, what up, infidels? Welcome back to another Dangerous Brown podcast. This one came out a little late. I'm going back to putting this out whenever I feel like it, because this is now the Dangerous Brown podcast is officially my open mic. I don't do as much open mics in the city anymore, so you get to come here, watch me work out new thoughts, talk through some ideas. A lot of stuff happened this week that we're going to talk about. Obviously, the big news we're going to end with last, because at the end we're going to try to workshop, see if we can find a good Roe v. Wade joke, a good take out of right now. Roe v. Wade is a take factory right now, so you and I will work through a bit together and see if we can find a sort of angle that would be funny. But let's talk about what's been going on this week that I've been talking about on stage a little bit. So my cousin came to visit Austin for his lacrosse tourney. He's half white. He's a half white cousin. And he's an interesting character because he lives in Alabama and he's around no brown people other than his sister and his dad, right? So, for all intents and purposes, he sounds and acts white pretty much. Like if you close your eyes, you'd be like, oh, that's a white kid talking. But he'll drop these random brown words, so it'll just be so fun. My lacrosse team, bro. My lacrosse team is super cracked, mashallah. Oh, you got a performance tonight? You're doing comedy tonight? Inshallah, bro. It'll be lit. It's so funny to just drop those little hints of oh yeah, you're really still cross around his neck, but still he got that brown in him, baby. He got that brown in him. Interesting to live in Alabama and be half brown. Yeah, I can't imagine how confusing that is, but that's not my problem to deal with. Such an interesting guy. Is such because he's in high school now, so it's such an interesting this is how they talk. This is how high schoolers talk now. Crack. He talks about how he's an alpha all the time, which is a huge alpha move. He calls Planet Fitness the P. He's like, yo, me and my friends, we go to the P, man. Lift. We lift at the P, dude. Dude, so funny. So funny to call Planet Fitness the P. Everyone always shits on Planet Fitness. That's the one that people shit on, Planet Fitness, right? But then to take that and be like, no, it's a cool thing. That is genuinely an alpha move. That is genuine. That's genuine. He's making genuine alpha moves up there. So, it's interesting. You know what's fun? I should have asked him how he felt about Roe versus Wade. I wonder if 14-year-olds have opinions on that sort of stuff. I wonder what an Alabama 14-year-old dude would have to say on that. Is there an angle there? Find out a little later on. Maybe even 3 minutes. Maybe even not that much later on. Damn, I should have here's my phone. Real quick, give me a second. Just so I have all these thoughts. I wrote thoughts down in my notes for jokes over the week, and let's see. Okay, yeah. These are the three thoughts, and then we'll try to come up with an abortion angle. All right. So, the first thought is everything is bigger in Texas, even the allergies. When they say everything's bigger in Texas, I also had no idea they meant the allergies, because they are nuts out here. In a way that I didn't expect. There's just way more. It's just way more intense. It's so funny. COVID was around for 5 minutes, and they had 3 vaccines. Dude, give me a vaccine for this. Give me a vaccine for the 3 times a year that I just get absolutely skull-fucked by pollen. That's the only way I could describe it. It's just a complete and thorough skull fucking. That's what it feels like. It's so much. And then I'm allergic to dust. And in Austin, apparently, the dust from the Saharan desert blows in every once in a while. What? The Saharan desert? Yo, That's the most Texan I ever felt. Is looking at the sky last week and it was just full of dust and just being like, go back to where you came from. You know, I was like, oh, I made it. That's the most Texan I've ever been. We don't like your kind around here. Dude, they don't warn you. It's, oh God. The allergies here are next level. Because the first time they hit you, you're like, what? This is how bad it can be? Because I had a dust and pollen allergy back in California. It was like one day of like maybe like, okay, this is bad. Here it was like a week of like getting fucked. I should definitely curse less, but you know, it's already over. The cursing train has sailed. All right, so that's joke idea number 1 of the week that I had, just sort of thought I had. But it's very if you're listening to this in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. It is rough out here. All right, joke idea number 2. Okay, so I was talking with my girl about this. So Chris Brown, how do I say this? Okay. So Chris Brown is still like a huge star despite of what he did to Rihanna, right? Like, that's how good his music is. That's how talented he is as an artist, that he's still pretty big after what he did to Rihanna. He even did a big song with Drake, who was trying to get with Rihanna for the longest time. Now, how big, though, would Chris Brown have been if he didn't do that? Because I think he might have been one of the biggest artists of all time. I remember when he was 16 and he came out on the scene and Run It and Excuse Me Miss. Those are still fire songs. And even post incident, he has made some fire songs. Like, musically, it's not like he lost a step. But fame-wise, he's definitely been knocked a peg down, for sure. Like, he can never be as famous as his potential is because of what he did. And that's cool. That's what you get. Sorry, bro. Sorry. If you want to be a mega billionaire superstar, you got to be like Dr. Dre, homie. You got to beat up a woman that nobody knows. That's the rules of show business. That's the rules of show business, dude. You can't beat up a star. You got to beat up someone that nobody knows. And it can't be on video. Like, Ray Rice was only going to get a 2-game suspension. And then the video came out that he never played in the NFL again. So there are certain rules. But yeah, you gotta be like Dr. Dre, dude. Beat up your wife, dude. It's your wife. Technically, in America now, that's your property. That joke, honestly, probably isn't going to get a lot of play. But the idea is funny, right? Like, Dr. Dre got to perform in the Super Bowl halftime show. Will Chris Brown ever be able to do that? The Super Bowl halftime show? Maybe not. It would be a thing. It would be a thing if he did that. For sure. Because people are rightfully still mad at him. I did ask this on the show once. I was like, so, how do you feel about Chris Brown? And I was like, how do you feel about his music? People are like, woo! And it's like, bro, that's how talented he is. The show was at like a bunch of like 20-something-year-old college-age kids. So it's like people who feel very strongly about social issues to the point where, you know, the social issues matters more than the joke you're trying to make. And even they were like, we like his music. That's how talented of a human being Chris Brown is. That's how talented he is. Okay. So, do I have anything more to say about Chris Brown? Let me see if you can run it, girl. Indeed, I can run it, run it. I like that song because yeah, indeed, girl. Indeed, I can. I've never heard the word indeed. Indubitably, can you run it, my fair lady? Indubitably, I can run it, run it. That's so like, it's just a song you don't hear in a pop song, right? Indeed, it's just a word you don't hear a lot. Indubitably, I can run it, run it. That's my version of that's my impression of 1890s Chris Brown. Indubitably, I can run it, madame. Excuse me, my fair lady. Indubitably, I can run it, run it. Okay. So that's idea number 2. I had that on. My girl had to drive me to my shows in San Antonio because my car had an electrical problem, and it's at the shop now. And it's just like, because of the backlog, I have to wait so long for them to get the part that they need. It's the worst. Fucking supply chain, dude. Hey, supply chain, figure it out, you know? All right. So, okay, here's idea number 3. So, at my Walgreens, my local drugstore, it's open 24 hours. It's a great place to get like a late night snack or a late night, soda or something like that. And they have replaced the doors for the beverage section with screens that tell you what's behind the door. But when you open the door, none of what's on the screen is there because of like the supply chain issues. So it really is, it's just turned the normal process of getting a drink from my local drugstore into this weird like video game loot box situation where I don't know what I'm getting. And even when I open it, the things on everything is not in the right place. Everything is moved around. Like if I'm looking for a Dr. Pepper and I open it up and it's like, why is there string cheese? No Dr. Pepper to be seen in the entire the entire section that I opened up. There's RC Cola there for some reason. They got Third World Cola. That's how bad it feels like the supply chain issues are getting. It's like, damn, Third World Cola? That's how desperate we're getting? What was the point of the screens? If there's anything that shows that the corporations are making too much money and not paying the workers enough, is those useless doors. Those useless screen doors. Hey, just leave it empty. Just leave it clear for me so I can see what I'm picking up. Nobody asked for this. Nobody. This is some weird Black Mirror situation. I think a part of the reason why I think they got the screens is to make it feel like it's still full so that when you do open it up, you know what I mean? I think the screens are literally to make you the mentality of oh, the fridge is still full, even though things haven't been stocked for months now. I mean, it's I think it's a psychological trick they're playing on us. Look at this. See how this works? My favorite is when people will post pictures of empty shelves and be like, welcome to communism, America. And it's hey, we're still doing capitalism. This is what's happening under capitalism. I'm not saying communism would be any better, but it is funny that people look at what's going wrong in this country and being that's communism. It's no, that's not that's not how that works. Welcome to China. And it's what? Some people will do so many mental gymnastics to make themselves feel like capitalism has zero problems ever. It's so funny. All right, let's get into it. Those were my 3 jokes of the week that I had. Okay. And then All right, now let's workshop. This is the actual. We waited 15 minutes. Thank you for listening for this long. For those of you who listen still, um, let's try to workshop a bit here. All right, so I do a lot of obviously current events material. Now, usually when I come up with takes, it's when I think of them. Usually I don't try to sit. I don't come very successful when I sit down and try to figure it out. So I don't think we're gonna come across a take here with a form of abortion that's funny, original, and like that's asking a lot, especially because um, it is so fresh, and people feel so strongly about it, and it is just it does seem like a backslide on civil rights that's about to start happening, but you know, it's so funny. It is like, okay, like what's like you got rid of abortion, but like your life didn't improve, right? Like the people who are happy about it, like your life wasn't like taking away the rights of other people does not make your life better. So it's not like it is so funny that people are like, now abortion's gone, our problems are magically fixed. It's like, no, bro, your job still isn't offering healthcare. Like it is so funny that people are like, my life is bad. Instead of trying to make my life better, I must make other people's lives worse. That is like such a hilarious part of human nature. To be like, I could use this anger, this energy that I'm using on this to make my life better. But why do that when I can make other people's lives worse? So I could just feel better about my life. Because people would rather, because being destructive is way easier than being constructive, right? So to work to make your life better is way harder than to work to destroy somebody else's life. So you go, what's the end game with this? The end game with this, obviously, we've talked about, is that America isn't having enough people to replace the people that are leaving the workforce, that are dying, that are retiring, and they need more people for the workforce. But this is how they choose to do it. But, I don't want to talk about that on stage because that's like a talking point, right? The thing about a joke is that you especially a joke about this, you want to find the angle, the take that nobody's talking about. That's why I'm talking about with you guys here. This is like, it's like that, because I truly believe like that's what in the end it's all about. But also, a lot of people believe that, and you've heard that in the media from time to time, that like, oh, they're trying to recreate our workforce. Yeah, it's just so funny to see people be like, we'll adopt your children, meanwhile the foster care system's overburdened. It's like when you see those pictures of couples holding up pictures like, we'll adopt your kids, what they really mean is we'll adopt the white ones. We're not doing anything to burden the problem of foster care now. We could easily do that, but no, we'll adopt your children. But also, and brainwash them into a weird religious cult. Dude, it's just so mind-boggling that people are like, people who like fucking love the Constitution, quote unquote, they love the Constitution, be like, we need to have God back in our government. And it's like, you guys love saying the words free speech, and the First Amendment also talks about separation of church and state. It's just so It's just so funny that these people who pick and choose the Bible would pick and choose the Constitution. Who could have seen that coming? Love thy neighbor unless they got brown skin. I think that's what Jesus said, right? Damn, what's the angle here? All right, so this is another exercise that you can do if you're trying to write a joke or try to come up with a funny angle. So what do you believe? So I believe that abortion is, personally me, that's healthcare, obviously. There's the healthcare situations. It's at the end of the day, it's not my body. I don't really know what's going on. It's not my life. So, I'm pro-choice, right? So that's where I stand. So when you're writing a joke, sometimes the funnier thing to do is, well, this is what I believe, so let me say the opposite on stage. So if I go with and then let me try to make it work. So for an example is in 2016, I wasn't a big Trump fan. So I went on stage saying, I think I might vote for Trump. And I tried to figure out in what world would I vote for Trump. And the world I came up with was, well, he's just so entertaining. That's the reason I came up with, and then I had a joke. Right? So what's the pro-life angle? What's the pro-life angle I have? So in what world would I be okay with no abortions? Oh, God. And the tough part is whatever reason I come up with, I gotta be like, well, and also no exceptions for incest and rape. So what's that angle? That's what makes it tough. But if I can find it, it would be no one's coming up with that angle. And some people listening to this like, that's horrible. It's like, yep, sometimes jokes are horrible. But no, I don't think, in what world would I be pro-life? So I have a bit now so I follow this Catholic priest on Twitter. I might have talked about it here already, but I'll go over it again. So I follow this Catholic priest on Twitter, and they'll be like, when Roe got overturned, they were like, this is so good for America. We're finally living in a world where God matters and God is something to be happy. All that stuff like that. And then I'll put myself in their perspective, right? Of like, why would I be super mad at abortion if I was a priest? And then I realized like, oh, I would definitely be pissed off if up until now women could just go ahead and kill my dating pool. You feel what I'm saying? These are future altar boys that are getting deleted off the planet. I'd be mad. Like, yo, if Roe versus Wade was all about like women's right to kill like 5'3" Indian women, if they were in the streets marching like their body, our choice, bro, you bet your ass I'd be in front of Planned Parenthood with a sign that said like John 3:16. You know what I mean? So I from their perspective, I get it. But what would it be from my perspective? That's the tough part. Man, oh man. Please, if you have any, this is a writing session, so if you have any ideas in the comments, I most likely will not use them. But anything to get my mind going. So, because I can't think of an angle that I'm not hearing anyone else saying. Here's the thing. You know what's funny? Back in 2018, I went on a date with this girl, and we were talking about, and at the time, I went on a date with this girl, and abortion had come up or whatever, and I was telling her back then, like, they're going to really come after it because they're going to need workers to, replace the people that are, because we're not making enough people. And I wish back then I took that to stage so I could be the first one on that take. I wish I could be the first one on that take, but now I'm just sort of the millionth person with that take, So what do I do? Damn, I might not be able to come up with one. Because I do know this. Whatever take I get, I have to be like, even in cases of incest, this should stand. Because that's the funnier thing, right? Because, so to me, sometimes the funniest take on stage is to take something horrifying and be on its side. So the fact that there's no, exceptions for incest is one of the most horrifying things I've ever heard in my life. Which is like, dude, what are these people that are, these evangelicals, what are they really like? If they're like, no, we gotta, My daughter is going to have my granddaughter. We can't abort that. Like, it's beautiful. So it's like, how do I get to a point where I can say that on stage and it makes sense logically? Because if I can get to a point where I can make sense, that logically makes sense for me to say it in my character that I'm on stage, then it'll produce a laugh. Because look at this guy who believes the worst thing. That's a lot of my act. If you see my act, you'd be like, damn, this guy says intense stuff. And it's like, yeah. Usually when I say something intense, that means I kind of believe the opposite thing. But you say the more intense thing to prove to show how absurd the other side is. But man, this is, all right, we're at 25 minutes. I got 5 more minutes to think of anything else. This is how workshopping a bit goes, though. Like, instead of writing, because I would just be free writing, writing this all down. Instead of talking to you. So this is how my writing. You're welcome to the writing process. The priest thing, for sure, gonna use that on stage. Probably not gonna do very well. But let's see. I don't know. There's gotta be something I'm missing here. I gotta read. You know what? What is the original Roe versus Wade case? Like, nobody knows what side Roe and Wade are on, right? Okay. We'll look this up. Maybe I'll find something here. Roe versus Wade. 1973. Roe versus Wade. Okay. The decision was struck down. Ongoing abortion debate. Okay. Let's see. The case was brought by Norma McCurvey, known by the pseudonym Jane Roe. Okay, Norma McCurvey. Norma McCurvey? Pretty curvy. No, that's probably disrespectful. Okay. She died. She's in Katy, Texas. Louisiana. Okay. So this is a southern lady. In 1969, she became pregnant with her 3rd child, where she wanted an abortion but lived in Texas, where abortion was illegal except when necessary to save a mother's life. So back during Roe versus Wade time, abortion was still legal to save a mother's life in Texas. So how did we go backwards on that? Like, if we want to overturn Roe versus Wade, at least let the women have that, right? No. This is America. You will die, ladies. You shouldn't have eaten the apple way back when. None of this would happen to you. Eve. Okay. All right. Her attorney said Texas's abortion laws were unconstitutional. Then a 3-panel judge of the U.S. District Court in Texas ruled in her favor, saying they were unconstitutional. Right? The Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision holding due process that the 40th constitutes a right to privacy, which protects a woman's right to abortion. Okay, so women can have abortion because it's a privacy issue. That's the thing. Oh, so to go back on it means that we can start rolling back on other privacy issues. This is huge at a time when we're expanding surveillance in our country via the internet. That's interesting. Okay. The court resolved by announcing a pregnancy trimester timetable to govern. That's how we got the trimester timetable. Interesting. During the first trimester, governments could not regulate abortion at all, except to require that abortions be performed by a licensed physician. In the second trimester, governments could regulate the abortion procedure, but only for the purpose of protecting maternal health and not for protecting fetal life. After viability, which includes the 3rd trimester pregnancy, abortions could be regulated and even prohibited. Well, only if the law provides exceptions for abortions necessary to save the life and the health of the mother. Okay. So, pre-Roe time, like in the 1960s, the conservatives weren't that religiously fanatical where they were like, not even to save the mother's life. That's insanity. Okay. Others argued Roe did not go far enough. Okay. Okay, and there's a lot of things. Who's Wade, though? Let's see. History of abortion in the United States. I'm just reading this Wikipedia. This is interesting. Let's see. Opposition to abortion, including anti-abortion laws, only came into being in the 19th century. Interesting. So before that, it was fine. Let's see. So abortion has always been a thing. Let's see. Damn, I shouldn't be reading. Okay, Sarah Weddington recruited Linda Coffey to help her with abortion litigation. This is a history of the case. Who is Wade though? Against Henry Wade. Okay, let me just look up Henry Wade. Who is Henry Wade? Henry Wade. Boom. All right. He's an American. Okay, so he's the lawyer who just argued. Okay. He was also on the prosecution of Jack Ruby for killing Lou Harvey Oswald, the guy who killed JFK. Whoa. That's crazy. He's a Democrat. Interesting. A Democrat was arguing for abortion. Well, Democrats used to be the thing of the South. Okay. So that's interesting. Yeah. So, I don't think I can come up with an angle here. I learned something new, but I don't think I came up with an angle here. But, we're trying to still figure it out. But I did learn a little bit about Roe versus Wade, Jane Roe. But damn, even in Texas, it used to be to protect the life of a mother. Even then, and we're going back further. We're saying no. Not in the case of incest or rape. We're going back further than we were in 1970. Wild. That's the thing, by the way. No abortions. That's the thing that never existed. So it's like we're trying on some new Dark Ages shit. This is less on health shit. This is more on control shit. That's so interesting that we had COVID and that was like this scourge to public health. And in that time, since COVID, we've done nothing to actually help the public health. We've just gone out of our way to create more public health issues. That's so funny that we have a rule that people in the 1840s would be like, that's pretty barbaric, dogs. What? Okay. Well, we couldn't come up with an angle. We tried to figure it out, but it is what it is. So will work. I think the angle that I am coming from, I think the one thing that I think would be the funniest right now for me, besides the priest thing, is thinking about how I would be pro-life. Where's the angle in that? Because that's the opposite of what I believe. So if I can come up with a reason to be pro-life, then that's funny. That's how the mathematics of jokes works sometimes, fellas and ladies. It's not pretty. But you gotta just get down in the sludge and figure it out sometimes. Infidels, I love you guys. Thank you very much for listening. And I will talk to you again soon. Later.